My life, from the outside, looked like a perfectly woven tapestry. A loving husband, 2 beautiful children, a comfortable home, and a deep, unwavering faith. I was Luna, a 40-year-old woman who had always believed in the power of God and the sanctity of marriage. But beneath the surface, a subtle crack had begun to form, a silent tremor that would eventually shatter my world. It all started with Pastor Elias. Pastor Elias wasn't just our spiritual leader, he was a beacon of light in our community. He had a way of speaking that resonated deep within my soul, a warmth in his eyes that made me feel seen and understood. For years, I admired him from a distance, respecting his wisdom and dedication. I was a devout member of his congregation, always eager to volunteer for church events and participate in Bible studies. I believed I was a good wife and a good Christian. But something changed. It wasn't a sudden, dramatic shift. It was a gradual, almost imperceptible drift. A lingering glance during a post-service conversation, a slightly longer than necessary touch during a prayer circle. Small moments, seemingly innocent, yet they began to stir something within me that I had never experienced before. I remember one Tuesday afternoon, during a volunteer meeting, I reached for a stack of papers at the same time as him. Our hands brushed, a fleeting contact, but the sensation lingered long after he had moved away. My heart raced, and a blush crept up my neck. I dismissed it as a momentary lapse, a harmless reaction. But deep down, I knew it was more than that. The guilt was immediate, a sharp, stinging sensation that pricked at my conscience. I was a married woman, a mother, a pillar of the church. How could I even entertain such thoughts? I tried to push them away, to bury them under layers of prayer and good deeds. But the seed had been planted, and it was beginning to sprout. Then came the sermon that changed everything. Pastor Elias spoke about the human capacity for love, not just romantic love, but a deep, profound connection that transcended the physical. He spoke of the soul's longing for understanding, for acceptance, for a sense of belonging. His words seemed to be directed at me, piercing through my defenses and exposing the hidden desires that I had tried so hard to suppress. I felt a pull towards him, a magnetic force that I couldn't resist. That sermon was the start of the end of my peace. After the service, he called me into his office, ostensibly to discuss a church project. But the air was thick with unspoken words, with a tension that crackled between us. We spoke in hushed tones, our voices barely above a whisper. He asked me about my life, my dreams, my fears. He listened with an intensity that made me feel like I was the only person in the world. And in that moment, I felt seen, truly seen, for the first time in a long time. It was a dangerous feeling, a forbidden pleasure that I knew I shouldn't indulge in, but I couldn't resist. Our meetings became more frequent, more clandestine. A stolen moment in the church library, a whispered conversation in the parking lot, a late-night phone call under the guise of pastoral counseling. We spoke about everything and nothing, our conversations filled with double meanings and hidden desires. I found myself drawn to him like a moth to a flame, knowing that I was playing with fire, but unable to resist the heat. Luna here, and if you are loving this story, please like and subscribe to this channel. This story is just getting started, and I have so much more to tell you. By liking and subscribing, you support this channel, and help me bring you more stories like this. Also, if you want to support this channel even further, there is a super thanks button, where you can donate towards the further creation of these stories. Thank you. The more time I spent with Pastor Elias, the more I became convinced that our connection was something special, something ordained. I rationalized my actions, telling myself that it wasn't just lust, that it was a deeper, spiritual bond. I was a master of self-deception, weaving a web of lies to justify my betrayal. I was a good liar, and I was lying to myself most of all. I was lost. The line between admiration and infatuation blurred, then vanished altogether. Our stolen moments became bolder, our whispered conversations more intimate. What started as a shared cup of coffee in his office after everyone had left escalated to lingering touches, a hand on my arm that lingered a little too long, a hug that held a little too tight. The physical attraction, once a subtle undercurrent, now surged between us like a raging river. We were playing a dangerous game, and we both knew it. One rainy Thursday evening, after a particularly emotional counseling session, it happened. The dam broke. We found ourselves in each other's arms, our lips locked in a desperate kiss. It was a kiss that tasted of forbidden fruit, of stolen moments, of a passion that had been simmering beneath the surface for far too long. It was a betrayal of my marriage vows, of my faith, of everything I had ever believed in. But in that moment, all that mattered was the feeling of his lips on mine, the warmth of his body against mine, the intoxicating rush of forbidden desire. Our relationship became a tangled web of secret rendezvous and whispered phone calls. We met in cheap motels, in the back seats of cars, in the dimly lit corners of the church basement. Each encounter was a stolen thrill, a desperate attempt to quench a thirst that could never be truly satisfied. The guilt was a constant companion, a shadow that followed me everywhere I went. But the desire was stronger, a relentless force that consumed me. My husband, bless his oblivious heart, remained none the wiser. I became a master of deception, weaving elaborate lies to cover my tracks. I invented late-night meetings, urgent errands, and impromptu visits to friends. I became a stranger to myself, a woman I no longer recognized. The joy that had once filled my life was replaced by a gnawing anxiety, a constant fear of discovery. I was living a double life, and the weight of my secret was crushing me. The impact on my family was undeniable. I was distant, irritable, and emotionally unavailable. My children, sensing my unease, became withdrawn and clingy. My husband, though he tried to be understanding, couldn't help but feel the growing distance between us. I was breaking his heart, and I knew it. But I couldn't stop myself. I was trapped in a cycle of desire and guilt, unable to break free. One night, as I lay in bed next to my sleeping husband, the full weight of my actions crashed down on me. I looked at his peaceful face, the gentle rise and fall of his chest, and I was filled with a wave of self-loathing. How could I do this to him? How could I betray the man who loved me so unconditionally? The tears came then, hot and heavy, soaking my pillow. I wanted to confess, to beg for his forgiveness, but the words wouldn't come. I was a coward, trapped in my own web of deceit. Luna here again. If this story is resonating with you, if you've ever felt the pull of forbidden desire, the weight of secret burdens, please share your thoughts in the comments below. Your experiences, your insights, can help others who may be going through similar struggles. Remember, you're not alone. And if you're finding solace in this story, please consider supporting this channel by liking, subscribing, and sharing it with others. Your support means the world to me. The inevitable confrontation came during a church picnic. My husband, noticing my furtive glances towards Pastor Elias, finally pieced together the puzzle. The hurt in his eyes was unbearable, a mirror reflecting my own shame and guilt. The scene that followed was a blur of accusations, tears, and recriminations. My carefully constructed facade crumbled, leaving me exposed and vulnerable. The truth was out, and there was no going back. The aftermath was messy and painful. My marriage ended, my reputation was tarnished, and my faith was shattered. I lost my friends, my community, and my sense of self. I was a pariah, an outcast, a woman who had betrayed everything she had ever held dear. The guilt and shame were unbearable, a constant weight that threatened to drown me. I had made my bed, and now I had to lie in it. Looking back, I can see the folly of my actions. I was blinded by desire, by a misguided sense of longing. I allowed myself to be seduced by the forbidden, by the thrill of the taboo. I betrayed my husband, my family, and my faith. And in the end, I paid a heavy price. My story is a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the most devout among us are capable of falling prey to temptation. It's a story of love, loss, and redemption, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. And though the scars of my past may never fully heal, I have learned a valuable lesson, that true faith lies not in blind obedience, but in the courage to face our own demons and seek forgiveness.